Hey, welcome back. Warner Bros. Remains one of the most interesting stocks in the market and one that I've been adding recently thanks especially to the recent crash. I think it was actually the first stock I bought when the market began to crash in April, and I think I bought twice, so let's look into it again. We saw a decent Q1 recently, although the revenue dropped by about $1 billion. That's mostly due to content because they didn't get such high box offices during Q1. They'll have some potentially medium to even big movies this year, but this will always be very volatile. You know, one year you have Joker, the other you have Joker 2. In Q2 we already know they had Minecraft, so that's likely a good quarter ahead. The cash flow dropped to $300 million, although there is a lot of seasonality and Q1 was never the high cash flow quarter. In fact, it's actually the lowest, and Q3 and Q4 tend to be the better ones. They can make 3, 4, 5, 6 billion, which is an amazing ratio for a 20-something billion market cap. Even getting to Disney's currently low ratio for them of 20, that's potentially more than a 5x. They also delivered a nice increase in DTC subscribers, which is quite a lot for a quarter, and also continued repaying the debt. And even not such an amazing quarter was enough to see the price jump quite a bit. Financially, we see an okay position, with the current assets barely not covering the current liabilities. There is 35 billion in equity on a 20-something billion market cap, which is definitely interesting. However, this is with the goodwill and intangibles, but how accurate are they in representing the company's IPs? Just the DC universe could be worth some tens of billions, especially if they manage to revitalize the IPs. Probably the main issue in the market's opinion is the high amount of debt. This is AT&T's gift from when they spun off, and it's indeed a ton of money, but you have to think about when they have to pay it. This is spread over decades, no year has a significant maturity, and it even has a low interest rate because it's old. And if you think about it, I think it's even more impressive that they managed to deliver these massive cash flows when they have so much interest to pay. Plus, I think the negative net income due to non-cash reasons has also been very important. And think about who owned WBD after the spin-off. It's AT&T shareholders who probably have AT&T for the dividend. That's 71% of WBD initial shares. When you don't dig too much into it and see no profit, no dividend, high debt, uncertainty and stuff, why hold it in your pension portfolio? That's a ton of selling pressure, which was probably intensified by the stock price falling. Sure, it can pay out as a value investment, but not everyone has 5 or 10 years to wait for it. And about the negative net income, if you look into it, it's because of high amortization and write-offs, which aren't actual money that they lose. It's an accounting adjustment, let's say, that's linked to the changes in the balance sheet. In reality, the cash flow shows that a ton of money went into the company year after year. And this isn't an opinion or even debatable, it's how these reports work. You know, how do you think they would afford early debt repayments if they were losing so much money? At even 10 billion lost per year, this company would have been gone already. There is no way they could have survived. But as they continue to reduce the debt, that's another, let's say 1 billion in cash flow that they free up, potentially leading to very nice dividends and buybacks. A 50% payout can easily be something like a 15% yield, and it would be very sustainable and even allow more early debt repayments or investments. I don't think the market would allow it to trade at such a ratio and payout, especially as they reduce the debt. And kind of a new type of issue are the tariffs and other political risks. China began by threatening to limit the amount of American movies in cinemas, and a few days ago we saw Trump threaten even 100% tariffs on foreign movies. I guess this is where WBD's advantage comes into play to some degree. They have potential for so much content and don't really rely on other companies from various countries to provide it. But of course, it affects everyone, including them. Honestly, I think it's a bit of a joke, and what it leads to is less and worse content plus higher prices for Americans. Next, I guess it would be tariffs on games and other types of entertainment, so be careful with Ubisoft and stuff like that. It's not like there was a ton of Chinese content or something, it's just another thing to have something to cut after negotiations. I'll say the same thing again, it's literally a gamble with people's lives, especially Americans with lower income, that's not guaranteed to work. I expect a hit initially if China does what it said, because any movie takes into account the revenue from China when preparing the budget. It's not massive, maybe something like 5-10% on the movies, but when you add the hit from Trump's tariffs, we might see issues for Max and overall potentially quite a few $100 million in revenue. But what's worse is that this is a very discretionary business. You don't really need a Max or Netflix or whatever subscription, and it's probably one of the first things to cut during tough times. And with tariffs potentially leading to a slower and weaker economy and even fear of a recession, we saw the stock fall quite a bit. But to some degree, we can consider the recent years as pretty tough times globally, and despite it, the company still managed to develop. I think rate cuts will be the most beneficial thing for the company and especially the stock. You know, they have a ton of debt even if it's manageable, and rate cuts will make refinancing much cheaper, leading to lower interest, more cash flow and repaying it faster. Plus boosting the economy and increasing discretionary budgets, of course. Reducing the debt also means higher cash flows thanks to the lower interest, meaning potentially unlocking a ton of money on top of already huge cash flows for dividends and buybacks. So this has potential to snowball into a very solid cash cow, plus potential to develop both organically through Max and their own content or by buying other companies. Even if they just do vertical acquisitions like buying a movie or gaming studio and saving money, there is quite a lot of potential. That's on top of being a potential acquisition target thanks to their IPs, plus a potential spin-off or whatever which they were looking into some months ago. You know, they can do what AT&T did to them and spin off let's say cable plus IPs and the debt in one company and Max, gaming and the rest into a high growth company that would pay cheap royalties to the other. One would be a slow but solid dividend cash cow and the other a high growth Netflix-like company. Now let's see a valuation. In a bad environment, let's say they drop to around $3.5 billion per year, which is a bit more than what Discovery alone used to make before the merger. Say the ratio remains at around 5 and that's a $17.5 billion market cap, so not very far from the recent levels. That's basically half the equity, but if they manage to repay the debt, the enterprise value would also drop significantly. So the potential to attract a buyer would also go up. Not to mention the interest they save by repaying the debt, meaning higher cash flows and the potentially massive buybacks they can do. So yes, a $17.5 billion market cap, but on let's say half the shares means double the price. Plus the huge demand they would create, which could even lead to a better ratio. In a second scenario, say they remain at around 5 billion thanks to debt repayments and Max offsetting the fall in linear. On a ratio of only 8, which is not much to ask for in this market where Netflix was at like over 60 recently, that's a 40 billion market cap. That's a price of 16.17, which is a very decent profit even in half a decade. But with potentially even double-digit yields or even just massive buybacks, this could easily be more than a 2x. Now, in a good scenario with growth and successful movies and debt repayments, let's say they get to 6.5 billion per year. Say the ratio gets to 12, which is again like half of Disney, so not exceptional, and that's a 78 billion market cap, meaning a price of 31.53. In this scenario, they could easily repay the debt and even pay double-digit yields, so seeing it at a ratio of 12 for long doesn't make that much sense. But again, they can also not do buybacks, not pay a dividend, not invest, and just fall into mediocrity and eventually be bought for pieces. At the same time, we could see much higher ratios and better cash flows, so I think there is even potential to see a 10x eventually. By the way, if you want to support the channel and see when I buy anything or even get a custom stock analysis or even 2 each month, check out the Patreon link below. And now you also get all the other analyses ever requested by other members on top. I'd say anything even below 12 should be a good buy for me. Riskier at that level, but not a lot of downside thanks to the IPs and a lot of rich buyers, while the upside could potentially be huge. My average is around 8, but I'm likely going to average up in the near future. So I think WBD is definitely a value investment for me. They have high but manageable debt, and as they reduce it and develop Max, they potentially offset the declining cable business and manage to grow the cash flow. Then, when they consistently make 5, 6, 7 billion or more, there is potential to see some high value M&As on top of massive dividends and buybacks. Realistically, this can pay even now a sustainable 10-15% dividend and also do early debt repayments, so the price is very good in my opinion, and I bought some more recently. Just imagine what happens to the stock if they actually announce something like that. I think they make way too much money to ignore, and in a few years, when they are getting to a lower amount of debt, I don't think the market will have a reason to trade it so cheaply. But it also depends on the economy, and it's definitely not risk-free, of course, especially now with political issues. As always, what I cover in my videos shouldn't be enough for you to make any investment decision, so please do your own research before investing in anything. If you want to see more videos like this one, please leave a like and even a comment to help me out, and make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.